Who knows flag football?
Me too.
Okay, good surprise. So this afternoon, Jisok, Camila, Augusto Online, and myself, Remy, will talk about our proposals for a more gender equal governance and sport ecosystem. But before we talk about this presentation, I would like to transport you to the future. Imagine that it's Sunday, 8th of August, 2032, the last day of the Summer Olympic Games. The last event is the women's flag football game. Dream game, America versus Mexico. It's been a tough battle. And on the very last second, Diana Flores, the captain of Mexico, she scores. Mexico wins. Pierre Trochet, the honorary president by then, will award the gold medal to Diana, who will retire after the games. Flag football, they made the fourth biggest audience after gymnastics, swimming, and athletics. Massive success. But let's go back to reality. Do you remember, Pierre, when I was taking this picture?
Of course, our Congress.
Yes. In December 2024, Pierre Trochet was re-elected as IFAF President. Together with James, Uras, Fabio, Russell, and Eric, 5 other members on the executive committee, raising up the question of what about women in senior leadership at IFAF? To give you a bit more context, in 2023, IFAF was officially recognized by IOC and then securing a spot in the Los Angeles 2028 Games. This brings some complication. With this new status, they need to comply in terms of guidelines about gender equality and inclusion. So the question is very simple. How can IFAF make sure that they comply with IOC's guideline, but also secure their long-term growth and building up a legacy and unlock the potential of women's sports? Our answer is very simple. And we're going to start with this. Implementing right now a gender equality and inclusion strategy focusing on 3 pillars. The first one is very important. Targeting the top of the pyramid, a governance review. After that, we continue with engagement and participation. And last but not least, we will talk about sport and education development. So we will develop 10 recommendations, and my colleagues will talk about this right now.
Being aware of this huge goal for IFAF, the action plan was developed based on simple and feasible strategies because IFAF is one of the youngest federations of the Olympic movement, and its structure, it's still on the construction. That's why these small steps need to be very efficient but simple. So we developed this action, the 10 actions that we call IFAF 10, based on the pillars that Remy said, and it will be the base for the future. But gender equality is very important to say that it's a long process that needs to be embraced by the board and the leadership, because just as that, we can guarantee the success in the future. So we develop, to arrive on these actions, it's important to say that we develop a great benchmark. We did interviews with IOC, ISOF, NFL, and also with 8 international federations to understand and to capture the best practice that are developed already in the international organizations. We also interviewed some national federations nominated by IFAF, and we use the data provided by the survey that IFAF applied with their members. The idea is to capture all the actual scenario and then go for these recommendations that we saw. The governance and the strategic support, it's one of the best practice, show us that it's the most important to achieve these first steps for the change. So to update the statutes, to have a leadership program for the leadership for the women, and have quotas in this first stage is very important to guarantee the success. So going for the actions, our first action is to update the statutes and the internal process. Our idea is proposed to have at least 30% of the board composed by women, and also achieve a gender balance in the leadership committees. But how can we do that? IFAF has now 9 members, and we propose to have 13. But why? It's because we don't want to fight with the status quo. We already have these men there. What we propose is because now in this new scenario, IFAF needs to have new committees also, as commercial, gender equality, diversity and inclusion, institutional communication. So these women will occupy this space. And why 30%? It's not only because IOC propose and request and recommend for the international federations, also because in each board, at least 30% of the group need to have voice and to produce some difference. We need this 30%. When we go for the second action, we propose the development of this formal strategy, gender equality strategy, and the publishment of that. It's because gender equality is not only a women problem, it's a problem of all the stakeholders, all the members, everybody that is involved with American football. So when we publish, we are aware of, we create the awareness of in everybody. So it's not only IFAF saying something or IOC recommend something. Everybody will be aware and will work to achieve this. Because the idea is not only to have a beautiful paper in the files of the federation. It's real to implement and to achieve this road for the future. And this brings us for this 30 recommendation, because we are not talking only about the communication plan. Yes, of course, we are talking about the media, social medias for the externals, but the most important here is because IFAF, it's the leader of the process. So what we are proposing here, it's because IFAF will be the main contact. It will increase the communication with its members. This is because, for example, IFAF will be the whole model of everything. And to be that and to go for the structure inside or under them, they need also to have this communication, this training with their members and with all the community. And the fourth action, it's very important because the monetary system, it's a formal monetary system. It's not only capture the data, it's not only how they can have new data to understand the new scenario, but the most important is to evaluate if the strategy is going well and to recalibrate when it's necessary. So it's very important that the members know the real value of the data, because this will develop the American football around the world. It's not only for IFAF. And after know why we are developing this framework of process policies and documentation, we also need to touch this other side. That's why we propose the organization of a workshop, because we already have a lot of women, and we have one here that already act in the American football scenario. So what we propose is to have a safe environment of these women, that they can be connected, they can exchange, they can be empowered, and to understand what they can do in the next steps in the future with this strategy. And then when we go for the 6, what we propose, it's a formal process of training. And this is very important because it's not only training women, because men are not training to be a leader. So the women, it's not that the women need to be trained, but the most important, the women need to understand that they are a whole model. They can occupy this space. They can be there. They can exist. So we need to empower these women, and the formal training, led by a coaching for a process, a formal process, will create this core that will serve as the role models for the next generations.
Okay, so let's now talk about the engagement and participation. So engagement and participation are not nice to have. It's actually the fundamental of the growth. So if women don't feel connected, they won't participate. And without participation, there's no future of sports. So our role here is to create the structure to make women feel more included and more valued and inspired to stay. So we believe this is how we secure our sports in the next future. So let's talk about our action plan. So first, to increasing the females ITO. So for many years, the IFAF and national federations most of them are nominated men as their ITOs and referees, because it was the question. I mean, the answer is simple, but they did not have the enough qualified women's referee in their regions. So what we're recommending with IFAF to IFAF is that with the rule, we are recommending them to have more structured recruitment campaigns with the NFL Women's Forums and giving more structured training programs and the mentorship with the experienced official to them. And by doing this, I'm sure that we can have more, promising future with the rule that we just implement. And to move on to next action campaign, we are gonna increase the female coaches. So the same principle applies here as well. It's not the rocket science that we're gonna have the women's qualified women females just like tomorrow. So that's why we really need to have the structured programs to support the national federations to provide and for women to able to coaches in their region. So first, we're recommending to have more regular seminars and workshop, and also with the collaboration with NFL and giving more mentorship to the national levels coaches, and most importantly, the step-by-step coaching pathway from the league. And this has already proven effective by FIBA, and FIBA said, implemented a rule requiring at least one female coaches in the roster for all FIBA Youth National Team event, and this helped National Federation to develop their national coaching pathway for women. So this simple rule actually made NF, National Federation, to invest money into their budget so that they can have more female coaches on the pitch. So we're recommending those two are recommended by us to IFAF to have more women people on the pitch. And this is evidence. The evidence is super clear that we don't have lots of the women's technical officials either in tackle and the flag football. So that's why this 1+1 policy isn't about the numbers. It's more than a number. So we can actually open the doors that was closed for too long. So we can now have more women on the pitch.
Let's turn now to sport development and education. One of the main challenges we face is making sure referees and coaches, wherever they are in the world, have equal access to resources and training. At the moment, education is quite fragmented because each region delivers its own courses, and that makes it difficult to ensure consistency, especially when it comes to creating clear pathways for women in the sport. To address this, one idea is to establish an international exchange program with NFL. This will give selected officials the chance to train at the highest level, officiate at international events, and then bring that expertise back to their home countries. It requires investment for sure, but it creates long-term expertise and leaves a strong legacy as we move to LA 2028, and we want to be ready to have this 50% of female. In parallel with that, we also need a centralized IFAF digital platform for referees and coach education with standardized modules and clear certification levels. We can guarantee consistency across the board thanks to that. This is key because relying only on local volunteers or very good initiatives isn't enough to secure the sport's sustainable growth. So ultimately, the aim is provide elite training opportunities through international partnership, and also to build a centralized pathways that make development structured, inclusive, and professional worldwide. As we can see here in the reference, just to show you some data about that, we can see in the graph that out of the 16 countries that have been interviewed in total, just few of them support women in refereeing and in governance. We would like to change the result, so our big goal is to aim for more.
The first question that the jury could ask us after this presentation is, how do you make it happen? How many AISTS projects didn't happen in the end? And we have the chance that for us, the journey already started. These 10 recommendations were presented to your managing director, Andy Fuller, but not just him, also to IOC, Gender Equality and Inclusion Department at the same time. The goal was to make sure that our proposal were matching either the needs of development, but also IOC's guideline. And 2 weeks ago, we were very happy to receive a good news from Andy Fuller, the managing director, telling us that some actions were already concrete. There will be like a proposals of the statutes review in the next General Assembly in December 2025. The new members who wants to join IFAF will have diversity and inclusion requirements. There is a budget that is ongoing for a leadership program in 2026. And ED&I committee members are actively being recruited at the moment. And other initiatives about referees, health and medical, we'll come back to this, Boris, no worries, and media and commercial are ongoing. So dreaming about Brisbane 2032 is nice, but we are talking about something concrete. Los Angeles 2028 is in less than 3 years, and we are sure that you have IFAF and within your national federations, the right people to implement this strategy and make it happen within the next 3 years. Thank you.